like to call the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, September 15th, 2021 to order. Clerk, could we please have roll call?
We have 10 present and 2 absent.
10 present, 2 absent. Please note that Commissioner Fortune and Commissioner Anderson are not present tonight. Commissioner Soares, could you lead us in the prayer and the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Fellow Commissioners, Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which will greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll next move on to the approval of minutes. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to approve the minutes that occurred the meetings of August 18th and September 1st of 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to any items not addressed on the agenda tonight. Seeing none, we will move on to the Chief Executive's report. There's really not a lot of things that are going on, but there's a lot of things going on. But nothing to report that, any dramatic findings or announcements to have. One thing we do want to address is that we still are addressing COVID. We had 3 new fatalities due to COVID. We've lost citizens and we continue to lose citizens due to this, and so we continue to encourage our citizens to seek vaccinations. Our vaccination numbers are going up. I think people are starting to realize that we are back into a surge again, and that's troublesome. But hopefully we stay safe. The kids are able to stay in school, and those are our hopes for the public. So I'm going to cut it short tonight, and we'll move on to any public comment on any item that is on the agenda. If you have any comment on any item on the agenda, you can come forward, state your name, your address, and then what item you're speaking to on the agenda. So you can come on up. Yep. And there's a button there where you can push to use the speaker. There you go.
Okay, my name is Trudy Healy. I live at 111 West Iron Street. Little bit about myself. I've remodeled 4 houses in the Uptown Butte area on my own because I love Uptown Butte, and it was a fun, thing for me to do. I want to apologize too if I've overstepped my boundaries as far as how things are done. I just don't know. I'm going to try to learn. My commissioner has been out sick, so I haven't been able to go through him. And so I thank JP for helping me out and John Reardon for helping me out as I go through this process of trying to help my neighborhood. So what I want to address is the need to remove junk vehicles from our alleys and streets. I am aware that community enrichment has the authority to cite code violators, which is described in Community Enrichment Standards 8.06.010, purpose, 8.06.020, definitions, and 8.06.030 standards, which states it is a violation of this chapter to allow the presence of community decay conditions to exist on any land, private or public property, within the jurisdictional area of the city and county of Butte-Silver. I would hope that all of you are aware by now of the increase in criminal activity, specifically in the Uptown Butte area. I personally have witnessed, as have others, the use of junk vehicles for the explicit purpose for squatters to occupy and live in, or a place to hide and use illicit drugs, and also for prostitution. I personally have contacted police on numerous occasions to assist a woman in dealing with a squatter who is terrorizing her family. He lives in a junk motorhome in her alley. These vehicles serve no purpose other than a sanctuary for the criminal element. Community decay standards 8.06.020 E and G specify violations that are to be cited to the owners who violate these standards. I and other concerned citizens have begun expanding local neighborhood watch. I would hope no one would argue the idea that in order for a community to prosper and increase investment, that the safety and security of citizens must be secured. I have no legal authority to enforce ordinances, and am praying that together, citizens and those who do have the authority and responsibility can work together to make my neighborhood clean and safe. This is not to say that once junk vehicles are removed, all issues will be resolved, certainly not. However, there is no justification for junk vehicles to occupy our alleys and streets, making and creating a dangerous environment for Butte citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll refer that to communication number 27, that's on number 27, so that would be addressing on that communication. Thank you. Is there any other public comment on any item that is on the agenda tonight? Yeah, you can push it. There you go.
Is it on?
Yep, you got it.
And council members. My name is Allison Anderson. I live at 421 West Iron in Butte. I am speaking also on the issue of public health and safety. Like many citizens, I've seen a concerning increase in crime and drug activity in our community. These problems are compromising public safety and health. I see a serious problem in my neighborhood. There are several identified drug houses, illegally parked campers with drug and dangerous activity, abandoned vehicles, and vacant homes being used for the same purpose. I and several other community members have called various county departments for code violation and compliance issues. We've also made numerous calls to dispatch for suspicious and nuisance individuals. I could go on and on and on, about all of these instances, which are truly unnerving, very scary. As a single mom raising, a child in this neighborhood, witnessing these things that occur on a regular and daily basis. There seems to be a strange disconnect between our expectation of living in a community where its citizens feel safe and the willingness and ability of those in positions to uphold the ordinances put in place to do so. Myself and many others would specifically like to know what protocol should we be following to have the success that we want to see in our neighborhood, in our community as a whole. What can we do? As Trudy said, we've been participating in neighborhood watch, neighborhood cleanup efforts. I mean, so many different things that we've been trying to establish, and we're calling on you for your help, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment on any item that is on the agenda today?
Hi, I'm Carol Huftel, live at 200 West Missoula Avenue, and I'm commenting on the health and safety issue that's on the agenda. I think that we have a disconnect also of what we expect the police and dispatch to do. I have several examples too. I don't know if you want me to go into them, but it seems to me that we are expected to put up with unacceptable behavior from people who are on drugs, have mental illness, or are homeless. And it seems to me since COVID, it's gotten a lot worse, where, it's a lot of the time I hear, well, they're mentally ill, they have nowhere to go, so we just have to put up with it. We all pay a lot of taxes. I pay a lot of taxes in this town, and I do a lot of rentals, and I work really hard to make sure my rentals don't bring down the neighborhood. I'm also finding that, I try and give people chances, pre-releasers. I've done this a few times, and, they're great when they're in pre-release, and then when they're out of pre-release, they're terrible. And I'm not getting the backup I used to from the POs. I spoke with one of the PO's bosses this week, and he told me basically it's because there's no room in the jail. So, you know, I mean, so as citizens that are trying to follow the law and do our best, we have to put up with people that are not. And it's getting really frustrating. So for me, it's like, you know, who's going to crack and go vigilante? You know, I mean, I'm not going to, but I mean, people are getting frustrated. Another thing I'd like to address too with the health and safety of our community is, again, when people are leaving pre-release or when they are coming from Action Inc. or Salvation Army, they have a few months rent paid and they get their security deposit paid. And as soon as that happens, they're terrible. You know, I mean, and we don't do it anymore. We don't take calls from Action Inc. and we will not rent to anybody from Salvation Army because we spend more money after 2 months trying to get our properties back cleaned up, you know, and then we have to do the eviction of the mother with 3 kids. You know, I mean, so basically it's like Action Inc. takes the win of, ooh, we got somebody housed, but the people are never held responsible. You know, and once they're housed, nobody talks to them or makes sure they're in line. So then we have to evict them. So, and that's about all I mean, I have several examples of things that have happened that we're kind of left like we don't know what to do. So a 25-year-old employee of mine went in to paint a vacant house and a guy had broken in and was there sleeping. And so she called dispatch and they said, well, did you ask him to leave? And it's like, really, is that? I mean, because if you tell me that's my job, we will, you know, make it happen, but I don't think that should be our job. And then after that happened, as the officer was leaving, he said, just take all his stuff and set it out the back door so he can come back later and get it. Because basically he was getting out that day. Okay, so there's a lot of concerns, a lot of things that, you know, us people are trying to do our best to make the community better. We feel like other people are doing things to make it worse, and it's making it hard on us. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment on anything on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to Section 1, bid openings, public hearings, and presentations. We have 3 presentations tonight. First communication is number 2021-406. I should have brought my glasses tonight. Kelly Kahani, Msu Extension, Silver Bowl County 4-H Youth Development, Family Consumer Science Agent requesting council commissioners for the concurrence for a presentation on September 15th. Agenda for the discussion of the annual funding for the MSU Extension Office. Welcome, Kelly. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation to come and speak tonight. So for everybody that I haven't met yet, I am Kelly Katani, and I am your guys' MSU Extension Agent. And just a little background on me, I've been here since 2017. I started in June, and I came here to help with the 4-H program, and I also have family consumer science duties. And I come from a complete education background. I have a bachelor's of science in agricultural education from Washington State University. I taught high school agriculture and was an FFA advisor for 13 years prior to coming here. And in the last 2 years, I've also earned a master's of education from Montana State University up in Harbor. So what I'd like to just show you guys is just kind of some of the highlights for our program. And that way you guys can kind of see what I do here, and then if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer those. Okay. We'll go ahead and switch that. There we go. Okay, so like I said, my primary duties are the 4-H program here for Butte-Silver. We started with 35 members when I came in June of 2017. And we are just about to end our 4-H year here at the end of this month. And we have 70 members and 27 volunteers at the moment. And those are continuing to grow with those numbers throughout the year. And we've added just even 5 new volunteers this year alone. We've added a lot of new programs, and then we've also supported a lot of the existing programs to enhance those for the members and the volunteers that I work with. I also have the Family Consumer Science program, in which I have a main focus on mental health, and specifically mental health first aid. I'm certified in both the youth and the adult versions of that class. And then, because I'm the only person in the office, I also answer any questions that come through the door. So that includes a lot of horticulture questions, a lot of insect identification, what is wrong with my yard, how can I fix this, and those kind of questions that will come through. And then just so that you guys know, is we're also starting a brand new program in the state of Montana, and I'm working with other extension agents to start a program called Goat Montana, in which we are going to be in kind of advising people that are beginning farmers and ranchers around the state of Montana to be able to either bring goats in as a diversification of their agricultural crops and animals, or to start their own farm because of the economic benefits of goats. And I come to that with a background of growing up on a dairy as well as a cow dairy. And have about 30 plus years experience in that area. So I'm kind of the person that everybody in Extension calls for those questions. Thank you. As far as our 4-H program, like I said, we're really focusing on the growth of programs. Some of those programs that we're growing is quality assurance, and that is where I get the opportunity to be able to help our members be able to produce the highest quality animals for the consumers that we sell at our market sale at the fair, and being able to just add a lot more like biosecurity as well as health and wellness of those animals as we continue to grow. We've started some new healthy lifestyles programs, and in the next couple of slides I've got some really fun pictures of some of our kids doing some of those programs. We were able to actually do our 4-H camp again this year for 2021, which is something that we weren't able to do last year. And then just some of the fair activities that we were able to add this year. Okay, go ahead and you can just click on all the pictures. There we go. Oops. Okay, so here's some of our program growth. Some of our biggest projects are in our what we call our static or indoor activities, robotics, leather crafting, arts and crafts, and archery. Tonight we also had, I think, 15 or 16 members participating in our shotgun program as well. So that's some of the big areas that we've added or increased membership in. We also see some of our animal kids venturing outside of our county and doing some jackpot shows, learning more new show techniques, and just becoming more confident in their showing abilities. With our quality assurance, the main thing is if you notice there's a rabbit on that picture. And one of the big things this year is that there has been a disease within rabbits called rabbit hemorrhagic disease. And it is extremely contagious to rabbits, and it's also fatal if rabbits catch it. And so we added quality assurance and biosecurity to our rabbit meetings this year in discussing the impact of rabbit hemorrhagic disease on our rabbit program, and also just kind of discussing how diseases transfer. And so one of the things that I bring in for anytime I do quality assurance is I have a little canister of powder. It's about this big, and it's called Glow Germ, and it glows in black light, and it's used in order to help people, like when they're washing hands, sometimes it's in a lotion. You wash your hands really good, and then you put your hands under the black light, and it glows where you haven't washed really well. And so we did that with Glow Germ powder, and I spilled some on the floor purposely, and as the kids were walking in, and parents and even our leaders, and they saw it, and they still continued to walk right through it. And then I went through the room before anybody got there and strategically placed it on different tables, and then we got to turn the lights off in the room and be able to bring out the black light and see how far some of that powder had tracked, so that the kids could really see how those diseases transfer and are spread throughout maybe barns or from farm to farm as they go through. And so that was something that was kind of eye-opening for some of our members that had never gone through that before. This is one of our really fun projects that we started last summer, with everybody kind of needing some human contact, and getting outside was really important. And so we started doing just sports camps. And so we started off with volleyball. I had some kids that are like, man, we're really missing our volleyball camps. We have no skills camps that are going on. And so I invited them out to the Copper Mountain Park, and we used the sand courts out there, and we worked on serving, and we worked on passing and teamwork and communication. I coached middle school volleyball varsity level for 8 years before coming to the state of Montana, so I got to bring some of those other skills that aren't necessarily extension to that. And then we saw a need for some after-school activities last summer when school started up again, and some of the daycares didn't have room, there was no pause, and so we did a summer camp, or an after-school program, and I was teaching soccer skills. And so 2 of those kids up there are actually mine, the 2 little boys, and then the 2 young ladies are also 4-H members, and so we had about 10 kids that came out on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and we did soccer skills practices and drills, and we had homework time and then just free play time in order to help parents out after school. Here's our camp pictures. From this year, we were up at Camp Watanopa over on Georgetown Lake. Kids were learning problem-solving skills, making friends, lots of craft activities, communication skills. The fun one on this one is the bottom picture. You see some girls there, and they have something white in their hands. One of the things that we did this year to help them build their problem-solving skills and communication is we took a folded T-shirt, soaked it in water, put it in the freezer, and then they had to work together in order to get that T-shirt back out after it was frozen solid. It had been in for about 24 hours in the freezer. And from there, it was a relay race of who could unfold the shirt the fastest and actually put it onto one of the members that was in the group. And so some of the groups were really smart, and they picked the littlest kid in order to put it on so that they could just kind of squeeze through the smallest openings. Other teams decided to pick the biggest kid because they figured they'd be the strongest one to be able to go through those openings. The small ones worked faster. And here's our county fair. So this year with our county fair, obviously we have our animal projects, so it's kind of the main focus that we have out there, but we also have a lot of indoor projects. And so there's a picture of our indoor exhibit hall with all of the kids' projects. We had woodworking, we had leather crafting, arts and crafts, all of our shooting sports, as well as a lot more. There's gardening in that picture. And so then we also added a couple of new activities this year to kind of help try to bring some more families out to the fair. One of those was the color run. And we partnered with Butte Cares in order to offer that color run, and we used it as a fundraiser for our program as well. We had about 25 people from the community come out and participate in that, and it was tons of fun. And then our other one is that stick horse rodeo, and that's something that we will also continue to add to our fair each year. And we had 35 kids that participated in this the stick horse rodeo on Saturday afternoon before the concert. So lots of fun activities for families to get involved in our fair this year. Okay. Like I said, family consumer science, my focus on mental health first aid. I became an adult certified instructor in July of 2018, and a youth instructor in November of 2018. And in that time, we've certified over 200 people between the 2 classes. I am now also offering both virtual and blended classes with that so that we can reach more people, especially as people aren't necessarily as willing to be able to come out into big groups. And so I have done 2 virtual classes so far, and I have 3 more for next month, including 2 adult classes with employees for the Yellowstone National Park. And then I also I'm partnering with the Montana Hospital Association to do a youth class next month. Okay. Food and nutrition is another area that I get to cover, and so we've done some online meal prep classes. That's the top picture up here. That's actually it's a stuffed bell pepper slice, and it was a focus on utilizing leftovers within your fridge in order to create a meal, and we did that one online. We've also done food preservation classes with the public library with their gardening series for a couple of years, as well as food preservation with the garden club. I'm also certified to do diabetes education through Extension, and so we have a couple of programs that I've worked with. One, I worked a lot with the Belmont Senior Center before everything kind of shut down for COVID, and then we're coming up with a new program this summer for this winter, and it is called Dining with Diabetes, which we will help people learn how to cook for themselves and prepare meals according to diabetes recipes. Diabetes approved recipes. And then we're also doing just some fitness stuff, a walking group, as well as I'm also certified for Strong People classes, which is exercise class, strengthening bodies for elderly people. And then on to the last slide, which is just our other programs. So we do a lot of horticulture. One of my fun pictures on the bottom here is a tomato. This was brought into me this year. Somebody that volunteers in the community brought this tomato into me, asking me what was wrong with it. What happened? And so what we learned is that in this particular situation, the tomato got a little bit too warm, and the seeds started to germinate. And they utilized the energy produced by the actual tomato fruit in order to continue to grow small plants. There's a picture from part of our goat, Montana. This is me as a judge. I was actually a certified judge with the American Dairy Goat Association when I first started here. And so we'll take some of that knowledge in order to bring information to all of Montana. I'm also certified in first aid and CPR through the American Red Cross. And so we do a lot of first aid classes with the babysitting kids in 4-H, different counties. And then this picture is from when we did 4-H camp 2-3 years ago. And we focused on the camp first aid as we got to our camp itself. And then, of course, insect identification, as well as that's actually a tree with a bunch of sap and bugs that are stuck in the sap. And so that was a picture that was sent to me recently of what are these insects and why are they stuck in the sap. So thank you very much for your time. And if you guys have any questions for me, I'd love to answer.
Thank you, Kelly. Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Kelly, I just want to say thank you. You came on at a very tough time. It was a little bit tumultuous, to say the least. So thank you for sticking with it. And I think you're doing a fabulous job of turning the program around. You know, I don't think all of us realize exactly how busy you are and everything you're into. So keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. And Kelly, John and I and several others were on that committee to select somebody to take that job. And you have one of those behind-the-scenes kind of a job, you know, your department. And I'm just so glad you're able to show us all the different things you do. And I don't know what are you not certified in? So I am very impressed, and you've done an awesome job, and we really picked the right person. So thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Well, Kelly, thank you for everything you've done, and continue growth within that program. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yep. All right, moving on to our second communication. Now I'll use the glasses you gave me. Communication number 2021-423, Tina Masser, Discovery House Program Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence to make a presentation on September 15th, 2021, per J.P. Gallagher's request. Do we have Tina with us today? Okay, it looks like she is not with us today, so we'll contact her back and see if we can reschedule that. So we'll move on to communication number 2021-435, Kathy Griffith, Butte Emergency Food Bank Director, requesting Council of Commissioners for their concurrence to make a presentation on Aid for the Needy grant on September 15, 2021, per J.P. Gallagher's request. Kathy, welcome.
Hi, I'm Kathy Griffith, and I'm the Executive Director at the Butte Food Bank. And I certainly can't show pictures because we respect our clients and do not want them feeling like they've been betrayed. So we are glad to be here and share all the things that we do at the food bank. We currently, and we're here to request the Aid for the Needy grant, which is normally $15,000, and we really bank on this money, so we appreciate this opportunity to share with you guys what we do. The food bank was started in 1981 by the Ministerial Commission, and it was started at St. John's Episcopal Church in the basement. And then it moved over to Aluminum Street, and then eventually we ended up at 1019 East 2nd. And if you've not been to the food bank, please come by and see us. It's a fabulous facility. We have lots of storage, and our volunteers are the best. So if you have a chance to come by, come see us. We do own the building, which is tremendous. We received a grant when it first started, so when I came into this job, we were lucky enough to have the building. We currently are serving over 650 in households a month. Now, that includes about 1,090 adults and 600 children. Now, those are just within the households. And how we do that, it's based on the size of your family as to what size box you get. And so we normally in our boxes weigh, for a smaller family, about 65 pounds. Then they go up to 120, and then about 175 pounds of food. Now, this is intended to only last them a month. And so they do need the other support that they get from food stamps and elsewhere. So we are only trying to supplement what they get. It's mainly filled with non-perishable food. We are trying to branch out more and make it more nutritious. So we're trying to do like low sodium stuff, salt-free, sugar-free, try it on those cans to try to make sure that we're a little bit healthier. We also are trying to get as much produce in as we can. We are lucky to have donations from our stores here in town, and they are amazing to us. Through Walmart and through Safeway, we receive a lot of produce right before it goes bad. But our volunteers are so amazing. They clean it up. It looks better than the farmer's market. I'm so proud of them. They get out there, clean it up, it looks great. So people feel like they're getting something that's good and nutritious. We have been overwhelmed right now with cherries. They just keep coming and coming. Nobody, we say, we got cherries, do you want them? Oh, I can't eat any more cherries this time. But that's how blessed we are that people support us. So we really feel lucky through the community and through the stores that we're able to provide more nutritious stuff for our families. We distribute over 100,000 pounds of food a month. And so it's a lot of food that goes out the door. A lot is donated, so that's combined with us. But we do still have to purchase food. And when we purchase, we try to buy in bulk so that we get a better price. Certainly they'll ask me, they can get mac and cheese for $1.50, and we can buy it by about 30 cents a box if I buy it large enough quantities. So I always tell people, if you'd like to contribute money rather than go shopping, we'll take anything, believe me, but the money goes farther. So we really appreciate their support with that. We also had several food drives that were canceled. We had the Thompson Drive last year and the Postal Drive this year that had to be canceled due to COVID. Those always bring in the essentials in May and December that help us restock the shelves. This year, we're not sure what we're going to do with the Thompson Drive, but I'm sure we'll have some sort of variety of a drive. Last year, we set boxes out at the grocery store and asked people if they would please donate that way. And it at least got their attention, and they were good helping us. We did well, but certainly not the amount we normally get in going door to door with the fire departments and everyone. So we are... the postal drive, hardly, we didn't get anything, but our community is amazing. We have people that just bring these sacks and they're like, I think you should have had a postal drive. So they bring their food in. It's like, you bet, we'll take it. So Butte is very conditioned to us asking for help in these drives. So we're very blessed to have them. And the Thompson Drive will be coming up probably in December, that first weekend in December. So we'll have some sort of deal. We have also branched off in several areas at the food bank. We not only service our clients, we also do a community meal up at the Knights of Columbus. And we have that open on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we serve it was up to over 100. COVID, they're coming back. During the COVID season when we were down, we didn't let them go hungry. We served sack lunches. But now we've opened it up and we keep it as safe as we can. They're like a family up there. They really need each other. So it's nice to open the doors and let them in. So we're serving about 60 to 70 on Tuesday and Thursdays each week. And it's a nice hot meal up there. So we're very blessed that the Knights of Columbus doesn't charge us any rent and that we can use their facilities. So they also are a huge supporter of us. We also outreach to those individuals that have no transportation and no way to get to the food bank. So we do home deliveries and bring it right to their door on those that can't. At the housing complex, we just bring it to their conference rooms with their names on it, and they come and pick up. But everyone gets like the non-perishable box, but they also get dairy. They get milk, eggs, butter, they get bakery, they get bread, desserts, they get meat in a frozen pack. So we always try to give them some nice protein too. So I think they could get by for that period, but if not, we tell them, come on in and see us. We don't want them embarrassed or feeling bad. We tell them, come see us and we'll get you set. No one should have to go hungry. And then the next one on ours, which is near and dear to our heart, is the backpack program. And that's our Empty Bowl project. And we just canceled it, not really canceled it, revised it again this year. It should be next Wednesday, and normally we have soup and we have music and people come in and donate and they have a wonderful, simple meal, which they just love. And I think they love the camaraderie that they get there, and everyone's so disappointed. But we felt with the recent outbreak, we don't want those people getting sick. So we said, let's do this. Let's just, if you have your ticket, and these are 2019 tickets, if you have them and save them, come on in, and we'll be open at the Civic Center from 6 to 8. Come on by and go in. All the bowls will be set out. They can pick up a bowl and at least know that they contributed, and when they eat out of it, they'll know they helped the kids. So we're trying to do that, and next year we're going to be dancing, because I'll tell you what, hopefully everything is solved and we'll be out there. So that's what we're hoping for next year. We are also working on trying to help our clients with various things. Some of them have trouble getting to the food bank, hauling the food home. We have a Bobble Bill Fund that we buy taxi vouchers for those that can walk there and come, and they can't get home with all this food, so we buy a taxi voucher for them. And we use that through that fund that we have at the food bank. People donate to that to make sure they're taken care of. We also encourage them to take the bus, and we're working with the developmental center, Cassie Wick and those guys, and Todd, to help us figure out the buses to stop in front of the food bank from 11 to 1, and then if they ride the bus down, they can catch it and go back. But the problem there again is hauling the food. How are they going to do it? And so they bought the beautiful carts from a grant that they can put the food in, wheel it on, come back the next month with their carts. So we're anxious for people to start using that. You know, it's free, and we just hope it makes it easy on them riding their bikes. So we're always looking at different ways to make it easier on them, provide them service, make sure they're eating well, and give them something that they feel they left away well with. And we couldn't do that without our volunteers. We have wonderful volunteers. They start at 6 in the morning. They're out there packing boxes, going out, you know, serving this to our clients. They were so grateful when we opened up the lobby, because now they can interact with the clients and make sure that they feel comfortable coming in. So I'm blessed to be there, and we're so lucky to have the support of you guys. So anything you can do. I'm short and simple, but I don't know what else.
No, thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
As a previous elementary principal, I saw the benefits of the backpack program and how it worked to not embarrass kids, that they weren't hungry over the weekend, and that it was such a benefit to our community. So thank you for what you do.
Yes,
It's a
you're
huge
welcome.
benefit to our
And
community.
we've improved those. They're going to be more nutritious this year. Instead of cookies and juice, we're having more milk and granola bars in there and stuff that'll help. So
That's
you're
great.
welcome.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Commissioner Mankins.
Thank you, Chief Executive, and thank you, Kathy. When you use the word blessed, I think Butte's blessed to have you as the
Oh, my
director.
gosh, thank you.
So it's very, very much appreciative, and your volunteers and your staff and what they do for our community. So thank you from K through however long you get to live here and be around you. So thanks again, Kathy.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, moving on to Section 2, Consent Agenda. Section A, 1 through 4, and Section B, 1 through 29. Do we have any friendly amendments or segregations? Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would like to segregate 2 items out of the committee whole report, and that would, well, just to show you, it starts on page 8. So on page 9, item 5, communication number 2021-390, and on page 10, item 13, communication number 2021-436.
Okay. Do we have any other segregations or friendly amendments? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I'd like to segregate communication number 23, 2021-468. Thank you.
468.
That's communication number 23, 2021-468. Any other segregations? Seeing none, Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to approve Section 1 consent agenda A1 through 4 with the exceptions of item 5, 2021-390, and item 13, 2021-436 out of the Committee of the Whole meeting report. And then also, I would move to approve item B, Section B1 through 29, with the exception of item 23, communication 2021-468.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. Anything on the question? Would commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to the segregations, we will go on to the Committee of the Whole, communications to begin with. So we will go to communication number 2021-390, Commissioner Shaw. Oh, I should read it. Pat
Sure.
Holland, Government Building Manager, requesting Council Commissioners for their concurrence for a bid opening August 18, 2021 regarding the Mother Lode Theater, fire suppression, and annexation systems. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. The reason I called this one out is the Government Building Manager, Pat Holland, he submitted a brand-new communication which is going to be opened, hopefully we'll have bids to open on October 6th. So rather than having 2 of these sitting on here, I just want to place communication 2021-390 on file because it's the previous bid opening, they had no bids.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to place communication number 2021-390 on file. Anything on the question? Commissioners, please vote. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to communication number 2021-436, Dylan Pipinich, Assistant Planning Director, requesting Council Commissioners for their concurrence to hold a public hearing on September 22nd, 2021 to hear public comment on zone change application rezone-21-000003. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. The reason I pulled this one out is because Dylan called me, and he did publish this correctly, but he didn't post the signs on the property, so he had to repost it. We're moving to change this date to October 6th. So I'll ask our esteemed council secretary to change the date and maybe put that in a recommendation at the bottom for the next meeting. So I move to continue holding this in abeyance, but change the date of the public hearing to October 6th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to hold this in abeyance with the correction of moving this to the date of October 6th. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving back to communication number, let's go back here,
23?
23, which is communication number 2021-468, Mary McCormick, Historic Preservation Officer, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to apply for the Superfund Advisory and Redevelopment Trust Authority grant application for rehabilitation of the Basin Creek Caretaker's House and Visitor Center. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I segregated this because I've been in this issue for many, many years, and I just don't believe that the SARTA funds are meant to be bankrolled year after year after year, or however long people got to use them. I realize the COVID thing, but the SARTA funds is a fund that came from Marco, and I just don't know that you're supposed to get $12,000, $15,000 every year till you make up enough money to do your project. And this particular case, when we opened the bids last week, we're $200,000 above what we thought we had to spend. We had $168,000. The bid come in $374,000. That just don't make no sense. So I use this quote once in a while, but it's like feeding oats to a dead horse. I mean, where do we stop? We get $48,000, then we got a grant, then we got another grant, then we're still $200,000 short. I don't know what the answer is to this, but there's got to be a better solution. When you keep doing the same thing over and over again and get the same results, that's called insanity. And that's where we're at with this Basin Creek house. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be something different. And I don't agree we should ask SARTA to give more money to rehabilitate a house, and if they give $20,000, we're still $185,000 short. Where does it stop? I mean, the money just keep going. So I would make a motion at this time that we deny communication 2021-468 and place on file. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny communication number 2021-468. Anything on the question? Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I just want to say something here. I guess doing some more investigating work about this project. I know Commissioner Fisher.
Do you want to pull your?
I know Commissioner Fisher has been here for a long time, and there has been some frustrations not only with the council but also with the this construction project. The deal is here is I'm very fortunate to be on the committee that oversees the historical preservation and all that. And first of all, the understanding and the work that goes into these projects, I get that too. But most of these projects are funded through grants and through, in this particular occasion, a insurance policy. The discussion we had last night at the committee basically was the facting that what they're trying to do is with this park and the new opening out there through Parks and Recreation and the facilities out there is that now a caretaker, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be needed part-time or probably later on full-time. This park is somewhat scheduled. I don't know what the budget is for parks and that, is for renovations out there. There are going to be toilets. All right, you know, I'll just get cut right to the chase. I personally think, and like I said, as a newcomer, that this is a project that is a must to be completed, and I don't think that we may be $185,000 short. I have to agree with you that SARTA doesn't have to give money every year and all that, but I mean, that is what SARTA money is for, is the facting that to help these projects out in Butte. And if I was to single out one park right now in Butte, I think Basin Creek is the park that needs the most work, and the completion of this project, after it's rebid, is very necessary to control the crowd flow that is going to be present out there, and to keep this as a diamond in the rough out there. I'm not being critical of Commissioner Fisher. I haven't been as long as Commissioner Fisher, but I think if I had anything to support through the park system and the completion of a project, I think this is one that everybody in Butte, we really should look at and help getting funds instead of kind of talking it down. And I'm not particularly referring to Commissioner Fisher. It's a beautiful place, and I think we should apply for every grant that we can to make this project complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reardon. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. You know, a few points of clarification is there are already restrooms in the parking lot out there. They're nice concrete restrooms. They're in nice shape. There's a caretaker out there. We pay him $800 a month. I was out there 2 times in the last few months. There wasn't anyone at the park. He has a motorhome sitting out there with a tent next to it, and the grass is all burnt up, and the park's closed. You can't get up to the reservoir. So, I mean, if we could fix the place up for what we got, $168,000, $170,000, would be fine, but to put $375,000 or even $250,000 into that place, you might as well start over. You know, we already got a person for the county living right up the road overseeing the park as a caretaker. I mean, I just don't understand where this is going to stop, because we're so short of money there. We're just not going to get there. And the promises made here 3 years ago, sitting at this table right in front of us, and JP was the Park and Rec Director, Chief Executive now, he was involved in this. And the thing was then is, you know, we had a tough time getting the $48,000 from the insurance company, and then got a grant from the state. So, I mean, we've already put in, Butte-Silver, I'd like to have an accounting of how much has already been spent out there just trying to get to where we're at today. And I'm sure it's over a couple $100,000. So I stand by my recommendation, and I hope to get the votes to deny this. And all we're denying here is the SARTA fund. If they come up with the other money, fine, let them build it. But the SARTA fund is not the way to spend this money, in my mind. And if it goes through there, I'll be at the SARTA meeting to explain my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Anything else on the question? Yeah. Commissioner Reardon.
I just got one more little comment. Basically, I think that we should apply. SARTA funds, we can get started on that. We could go all around the community. People don't feel that this one should be here, this one should be there. The basic thing about it is yes, we have a caretaker out there. Yes, there's some bathrooms out there. I don't want to get into that. The basic fact is I would like to recommend that we finish this project and also be able to put in for all the grant money that we have. I think the figure flying around at $375,000 now was a bid figure, and basically we can do a lot better if we work together to get that price down. But there again, here we go again. Once it's gone, it's gone. We're going to end up with a guy with a trailer and a tent next to it with people going out there and all that. Not that I'm above that or beyond it, but I just think it's a great, well, let's put Columbia Gardens 2 on it. I like that reference to it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reardon. Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. You know, I've been here on this deal the same amount of time you have been, Jim, and I will say, from day one, you've had the same attitude. You've been against this from the beginning. You found every excuse under the sun to try to kill this project. This has been no different today than what we started with when it first came up. The bid that came in that last week was extremely high, but we're not going to go with that bid. That doesn't even make any sense, but that doesn't mean that's the price. And I don't know where you're coming up with this $200,000 that's been spent on this house, because there hasn't been. I don't know where that figure come from, but there hasn't been much money spent on this house at all so far. Most of it's been volunteer work, and there've been many people that have volunteered. So if you're against the project, say you're against the project. But to turn around and use figures like $200,000 we're into it so far, that ain't right, you know? Mary's busting her butt to try to make something right for our community, and you've done everything you could possibly do to bury this project. And it's unfortunate. If you don't like it, say you don't like it. But to misrepresent the figures, that isn't fair either. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive. I'm a representative of the public, and this is what the public's telling me. I'm the messenger. I may be against it, but I'm not the only one against it. And if you put out a monkey survey or whatever they do, or got a vote of the people, you're going to find the majority's thinking the way I am. And if you like, I'm sure not tonight, but Director Neary or former Director Chief Executive Gallagher could give you numbers of money we've spent out there to get to this point. And I'm sure that I'm not far off. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Shaw.
Call for the question.
We'll call for the question. We do have a motion and a second for communication number 2021-468 to deny this communication. This is to deny, so your vote for would be to deny. Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
We have 1 yea and 9 nay.
We have 1 yea, 9 yea, motion fails. Okay, so moving on to Section 3, Ordinance and Resolutions introduced to Judiciary. Item number 1, Resolution number 2021-48. A resolution authorizing the submission of an application for the Foothold Company with the Department of Commerce of the State of Montana for a Big Sky Economic Development Trust Fund program under the terms of the Community Development Act of 1974. And we're just introducing this to Judiciary. Oh, we don't need to read that one? Oh, you just, okay. I thought we needed to read it and then. All right, we have to go back to it. Right.
Commissioner Fisher, could you make a motion as to?
No,
Yeah, we
he
we
made
did,
his
exactly.
motion and then we took action on that, but then since that failed, we go back to the original motion.
Exactly.
Your
Okay.
recommendation, yeah. Okay,
I can do that.
yeah, okay. So we'll move back to communication number 2021-468. Mary McCormick, Historic Preservation Officer, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to apply for a Superfund Advisory and Redevelopment Trust Authority grant application for rehabilitation of the Basin Creek Caretakers House and Visitor Center. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I'd like to move to concur with the original recommendation to concur with 2021-468 and place this on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place on file. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Oh, Commissioner Frederickson. Anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
We have 9 yea and 1 nay.
We have 9 yea, 1 nay. Motion passes. Now, okay, moving back to ordinance and resolutions, we have resolution number 2021-48. It will be introduced into Judiciary. Section 4, ordinance and resolutions for final reading. Resolution number 2021-47. A resolution vacating, oh, clerk, please read the resolution. Getting all screwed up tonight here.
That's okay, you're fine.
Resolution number 2021-47, a resolution vacating, closing, discontinuing, and abandoning the alleyway located in Block 11 and adjacent to lots 1 through 4 of the Valley Addition to the City and County of Butte-Silver, Montana, and located in Section 19, Township 3 North, Range 7 West, and depicted on the map attached as Exhibit A, finding the necessary facts herein and prescribing the effective date of this resolution.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. This time I move to place Council Resolution 2021-47 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move to final reading. Anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea and 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to any public comment on items not addressed on the agenda tonight. If you have any comment on an item that is not addressed on the agenda, please come forward, state your name, address, and what you would like to talk to us about. Seeing none, we'll move on to, please note the calendar and other meetings and events. And I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Have a great night.